Members, we will begin our estimates process today of the Minister of Public Safety, recognizing the member from Surrey. Oh, my apologies.
The member opposite asked a question when we broke for lunch, and we are just finalizing the answer, and we'll be back to him in short order.
Thank you very much. Recognizing the Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you very much. So the member opposite was asking about access to helicopter. Oh, I'm sorry. Pardon me, Honourable Chair. I move vote number 42 resolved that a sum not exceeding $1,085,591,000 be granted to His Majesty to defray the expenses of Ministry of Public Safety and Solicitor General Ministry operations to the 31st of March 2027.
Thank you, Minister. Carry on.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. So before the break, we were talking about helicopter resources, and I can confirm that each district of RCMP division has access to helicopter resources, and there are 3 in the Lower Mainland District specifically.
Thank you, Minister. Recognizing the MLA from Surrey Panorama.
Okay. Thank you for the answer, and Chair, I appreciate that. The helicopter, the 3 helicopters, are they full-time helicopters in the Lower Mainland, or is that one extra that was talked about during the extortion expansion of resources?
Recognizing the Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair, and thank you to the member opposite for the question. These 3 helicopter resources in the Lower Mainland District are full-time resources, and how and when they are deployed is guided by operational requirements.
Thank you, Member. Minister, recognizing Surrey Panorama.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the answer. Switching topics, switching gears a little bit here. We had a situation in the interior this year where there was a lot of news coverage around ostriches, and we had RCMP members deployed to cover what was going on there. Can we confirm that the deployment occurred with provincial resources, and how many officers were deployed to police these ostriches?
Recognizing Burnaby North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I seek leave to make an introduction.
Thank you very much, Member. Is leave granted? Carry on.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce some students and their parents and teachers from Holy Cross Elementary School in the Brentwood area of Burnaby North. And through you, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to tell them that what they're going to be witnessing right now is the Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General answering questions from the opposition about how her ministry will expend her budget in order to keep us all safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Indeed, welcome to everyone in our chamber today. Thanks for joining us. Recognizing our Solicitor General.
Thank you very much to Honourable Chair, and thank you for the question. And so the focus of this line of questioning is the Universal Ostrich Farm in Edgewood, where there was a mandatory court order by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency that was upheld by federal courts. And so the BCRCMP provided support to the Canada Food Inspection Agency to maintain public safety and enforce lawful court-authorized actions at that time. And so I'm not able to speak to the specific number of members, but what I can provide is the number of deployments, as members may have been deployed multiple times. And so the RCMP deployments took place between May 21st and November 15th of 2025, and it involved a total of 496 deployments. So just to be clear, that's deployments, not members. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Recognizing Surrey Panorama.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to ask who ended up paying for that deployment? Was it provincial funding, municipal funding? And that's...
recognizing the Solicitor General.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. This operation was led by the Critical Response Unit of the provincial RCMP, so was resourced provincially.
Surrey Panorama.
Yes, thank you for the answer. Thank you, Chair. Looking at it being assisting a federal agency and a federal operation, I don't know if, the province is in a place to spend money without recouping that from the federal government, but something to think about in the future is seeing if we can't recoup some of that money. So what I'm asking, I guess, here at this point is that while we were under a massive crisis in families in Surrey, people being extorted, businesses being shot up, houses being firebombed, children afraid to go to school, people moving out of their own homes or living in their basements, we sent provincial RCMP officers from May till November to watch over ostriches that were being euthanized. 496 deployments. I'm pretty sure the families in Surrey would have liked to have a few of those deployments if they could have. Can we explain to the people of Surrey why the ostriches took a higher priority than the people of Surrey?
recognizing our Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair, and thank you to the member. There's quite a lot to unpack in that question. And I'll just begin by some of the phrasing that the member opposite used is that the police were deployed to watch over ostriches. And I want to be clear that this deployment was to maintain public order. And the decisions around the deployment are led by the Critical Response Unit and are based on an assessment of threat, of risk, and that stems from the court order and quite a sensitive and volatile situation around the farm where the maintenance of public order was a concern and led to the operational decisions made by the RCMP. And it is not the ministry's role, not the province's role to interfere with operational decisions of police. And then I think a second part of that question is around the prioritization of enforcement related to extortion. And I think early in the debate, I've had an opportunity to emphasize that combating extortion has been and remains the province's foremost public safety priority, and would be happy to get into the numerous actions that we have stood up that have been sustained and responsive to combat extortion that is causing harm, not only in communities in Surrey, which is, of course, an epicenter, but in other communities south of the Fraser.
Thank you, Minister. Surrey Panorama.
Okay, thank you very much for the answer. I'm just going to hop back to helicopters for just a second, Chair. I was at the State of the City address in Surrey the other day, and I was very pleased to hear they were talking about deploying drones. I've long been an advocate for switching from helicopters to drones in the city, as they are far less expensive to, well, in every way, shape, and form, and to keep in the air. I'm wondering if that's something that the minister has been looking at, is moving towards a system of better service delivery at a lower cost, with something like moving from helicopters to drones.
Solicitor General.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair, and thank you for the question. I appreciate it. And certainly the police are always looking for innovative tools to deploy in their operational investigative work. And that is certainly something the province supports. To be clear, we do not direct the use of police in terms of what technologies they might adopt, but it's certainly something that as a province we have seek to support and invest in. And there's examples of that include the Health IM digital resource to assist police in their interactions with people in mental health and crises, and also an initiative such as Track and Trace that we supported that it involves innovative use of AI and other tools in identifying and tracing substances in the toxic drug supply. Those are just some examples of the province's encouragement and support for the use of innovative technologies, but do want to note that that when it comes to the deployment of specific technologies, drones versus helicopters, those would be decisions that police would be making to support their operations and their investigations.
Thank you, Minister. Surrey Panorama.
Thank you for the answer, and Mr. Chair, I'll move on to some corrections questions. What I would say is, in the past little while, we've seen the federal government has come out and said there are now more employees than inmates in the federal prison system. So my question would be, what is the ratio of correction staff to inmates in BC's provincial correction facilities?
Remember, they're just going to change out a team member or two, it sounds like, and they'll get your answer right away. Solicitor General.
Thank you very much. So the average inmate count in BC Corrections is 1,830 per day, and the total full-time equivalents in the custody division is 1,802, and those are 24/7 staffing. So we don't have the exact ratio that I think the member is looking for at this moment, but that gives you a sense of the number of inmates and the number of full-time equivalent staff.
Thank you, Minister. Surrey Panorama.
Well, that sounds like it's almost a 1-to-1 ratio for each prisoner for each FTE, full-time equivalent employee, which sounds like an awful lot as well. For instance, I think the ratio for guards to inmates is supposed to be 1-to-60. But, I mean, if you can, well, I don't know if we need to confirm that or not, but what have we done with that ratio? Do we know what the ratio has been over the past 5 years? Has that increased?
Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I move that the committee rise and report progress and ask leave to sit again.
Members have heard the question. Those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. This committee is adjourned.
Committee Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Committee of Supply Section B reports progress of the estimates of the Ministry of Public Safety and Solicitor General and asks leave to sit again.
When shall the committee sit again, Government House Leader?
Later.
So ordered. Committee Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Committee of Supply Section C reports resolution and completion of the estimates of the Ministry of Transportation and Transit, and further reports resolution and completion of the estimates of the Legislative Assembly and officers of the Legislature, and asks leave to sit again.
When shall the committee sit again, Government House Leader?
In a moment.
So ordered. Government House Leader.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. In this chamber, I call a continued estimates debate for the Ministry of Public Safety and Solicitor General. And in Section A, the Douglas Fur Room, I call committee stage on Bill 9, Freedom of Information and Privacy Act.
Committee Chairs.
Solicitor General.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Just to clarify that the ratio is not, I would say, 1-to-1, that the just over 1,800 full-time equivalent staff represents not only correctional officers, but also staff in administration and programming. So just to underscore that point. And in terms of the question related to the 5-year trend, the 5 years may not be entirely representative because that includes the COVID years where there was a reduction in inmate population, but the numbers of inmates and staff over the last 3 years have been relatively stable and consistent.
Thank you, Minister. Recognizing Surrey Panorama.
Yeah, perhaps we could just table, look at those numbers later on if we go back, maybe if we stretch back 10 years so that we can have a good look at what the ratio has been. It does seem quite high now. When the federal government came out and announced that, it was because it was an anomaly. And if we're looking at, for a full day having 3 guards watching over, the ratio should be 1-to-15. That is a lot of administrative staff, a lot of programming staff. If those have increased over the past several years as the inmate population has gone down, that would be very interesting to know. So if we can table that for later, I would be very interested to find out. And so the question on that would actually be as well, what do we, actually I'll ask that right now rather than table it, do we know what would be driving any increase in staffing relative to inmate population?
Minister, if you don't mind reading the vote, we neglected
Thank you so
that.
much, and my apologies. I was so looking forward to replying that I neglected to move the vote, number 42, which be it resolved that a sum not exceeding $1,085,591,000 be granted to His Majesty to defray the expenses of Ministry of Public Safety and Solicitor General Ministry operations to March 31st, 2027. And we'll deliberate on that question and be right back to the member.
Thank you, Minister. Solicitor General.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. And just to clarify, the BC Corrections operates separately, of course, from federal corrections, and I'm not quite sure what the metric that the member might be referring to, so happy to get more information about that. But in the previous answers, I did reference the consistent level of staffing that we've seen across administration, programming, and correction staff in recent years. Not an increase per se, but a stable number.
Thank you, Minister. Surrey Panorama.
Sorry, and I actually missed the reading in as well. I think everybody did, so that's okay. And I will correct myself because this is going from memory from a few years back. Was 1 to 60 is the correct ratio, which would be 1 to 20 for each shift. I divided twice by 2, but and I don't know if anybody needs to know about my math. So following that up, I actually have a question that had come up recently, and I hope I didn't make trouble for people, the staff coming in and out. I did want to ask about, it's another FIFA deployment question. I've found that there are detachments around the province that are struggling, for instance, Williams Lake, to find overtime members to work, and they're reaching out across the province to find people to work at a massive event. It's the second biggest rodeo in Canada, so it definitely would needs the overtime members. Back when I worked there, I believe me and a partner arrested 57 people in a shift. It is a place that is police intensive, a time that needs to be covered for safety for everybody. So is there a plan to cover detachments that are having that issue? Well, they're also putting members into Vancouver for FIFA.
Recognizing our Solicitor General.
Thank you very much. And I think we had a chance to talk a bit about this before, and happy to go into more detail. And the assessment around around numbers of policing is led, of course, by the RCMP, and they know the numbers that are needed based on their extensive experience and expertise. The numbers that are needed for major events, and also the number of offices that are needed within communities. And so ensuring there is that appropriate balance is integral to the planning process that is well underway. And we do have a commitment from the highest level of the RCMP and the highest level with the Canadian government to ensure that the requisite resources for safety and security during the FIFA World Cup are in place, not only to respond to the games and that immediate environment, but also to be responsive to the public safety requirements within communities, and to respond to other emergencies that could arise in the province as necessary.
Thank you, Minister. Surrey Panorama.
I don't know if I'm comforted in that response at all, Chair. If their members are required to move from their detachments and other detachments have major events, is anybody reaching out? Have any of the detachment commanders reached out with concerns about this to the ministry?
recognizing the Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you very much, and thank you again to the member opposite for the question. Public safety really is our North Star and remains the cornerstone of planning for safe games during the FIFA World Cup, and also safety for the entire province. And that planning, as we talked about in previous discussions, is being done through across multiple levels of policing and government. And in terms of more directly in response to the member's question, just to underscore that the RCMP is drawing personnel for FIFA World Cup security operations under established provincial policing service agreement framework. So those agreements are in place and guides all allocation of resources. And the RCMP have advised and reassured the province that current allocations that are being made to ensure safety at the FIFA games are reasonable, and that no jurisdiction is being asked to operate below workable conditions. And I think the member asked very directly, had the ministry heard from any detachments with concerns related to this? And the answer is no.
Thank you, Minister. Recognizing Surrey Panorama.
Well, thank you. Well, I probably will be following up with the fantastic MLA that represents Williams Lake at some point to find out how they are doing on their policing resources. I am going to switch over to one corner question from me, and I don't know if the next questions will be along that line as well, but if we need to do a switch, I will be asking a quick corners question. When we asked you for some information, I was going to ask some different questions, but this kind of stuck out at me, and we went back and looked at the information you provided from previous 2 years, from 2018 and 19 as well, and we sort of had a baseline of 38,700-ish deaths per year. And we had COVID at 2020 it jumped up a little bit to 41,400, which isn't a great increase. But then we hit 2021 till now, and we end up with a 15% increase in deaths, which I would probably describe as expected deaths. I would wait to hear an answer that from the minister on what the expected deaths would be, going from 38,000 up to almost 46,000 people in 2022. So do we know why we have a 15% increase generally in deaths in BC?
Recognizing the Solicitor General.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair, and thank you to the member opposite for the question. I think the question around the increase in the number of deaths broadly relates more to vital statistics under the Ministry of Citizen Services rather than specifically the BC Coroner Services, which looks at the number of reported deaths, not the number of overall deaths. And so that's another set of numbers. And I just had an opportunity to consult with the province's chief coroner and can confirm that those number of reported deaths have shown a slight increase that are aligned with changes to demographic changes broadly.
Thank you, Minister. Recognizing Surrey Panorama.
Thank you for the answer. Chair, I would follow up on that, actually. It would seem to fall under the coroner's purview to figure out why we've had a 15% increase in deaths in this province. And, you know, looking at the numbers, really we've had, I would suggest, probably pretty close to a 15% increase in deaths that meet the criteria for an investigation. So I would just follow up one more time and say, is there any curiosity in the coroner's service as to why we're having really a massive increase in deaths in this province?
Solicitor General.
Pardon me, thank you very much. Just again to clarify that the BC Coroner Service is looking into the number of reported deaths specifically, and a certain number of those are investigated, but that most of the increase, any increase that is seen, is as a result of natural causes and not reportable. under Section 2 of the Coroners Act.
Thank you, Minister. Surrey Panorama.
Okay, well, I'll wrap up the coroner's question, and I will say people aren't just moving out of this province in record numbers, and this is a joke that isn't funny. It looks like people are dying to get away from this NDP government. But to reiterate the JIBC questions we had earlier on, the VPD gets 88% of their requested graduates, while Surrey's getting 61%. We don't know why really, but is it an unfair allocation, or do we just not trust Surrey to train their own officers? We've talked about the deportations. We know that the RCMP members get paid federal dollars to enforce federal laws, but we're not doing anything to chase after people that are on active deportation warrants. We don't even know the numbers in BC. That's fairly disturbing to me that, you know, we aren't looking at the people that we know are pretty much involved. Well, we know they're involved. They and are probably all of the perpetrators. They're either on overstays or with active deportation orders for extortion, our extortion crisis. Why we don't have resources available for that, but we have 490 deployments, shifts covering to keep the peace. I understand that, actually, with an ostrich farm that lasted for, I don't remember, is it 6 months, 8 months? But we can't provide that kind of coverage for people that are afraid to leave their homes, or people that have left the community, left the country to protect themselves during this extortion crisis. I'll go back to the Surrey Police Service. We've now had to strip the gang enforcement unit away from their jobs to deploy them to take over one of the districts that was actually not scheduled to be taken over. It was moved up to be fully taken over in advance. These members doing a fantastic job, however, have now left, and the number of murders over the past 2 weeks has spiked. I will say the minister has also spoke about how extortions are down. The only metric in which they're down is from January, where we hit a peak, an all-time peak. They are still up thousands of percentages over previous years. They continue to come in what really is record numbers. And we have a police force that now doesn't have the resources that the city had moved forward with. They had a new election. They wanted to reject the new police force. The minister and Solicitor General at the time had to change the law in order to push through and force this experiment on the city of Surrey. It's left us holding the bag on what we're going to do around every aspect of policing, whether it be gang activity or the extortion crisis. Our policing price has gone up, though we've never really got any satisfactory answers on that in this. But that being a city responsibility now, we have to deal with it. And as I said, I'm not sure I'm really wanting to know the numbers with my tax bill. I would like to know, I guess my final question is, am I correct on the metric of when the extortion numbers? Are we just comparing it to January, or is there numbers that go beyond that and we are down? But it sure looks like we have record numbers. If the minister could answer that, Chair, and I appreciate your time.
Recognizing the Minister of Public Safety.
I just want to make sure that, that the members in the chamber, when I have a chance to answer his question. Without question, Surrey is the BC community that we have seen most impacted by extortion, threats, and related acts of violence, plaguing other communities in BC, south of the Fraser, but also other communities in other provinces across Canada. And that is why it has been so important that our response has been coordinated between different levels of government and, of course, different jurisdiction of police. And that cooperation has been integral to our response, to our actions that have been, as I've had a chance to highlight, really prioritized by the province and sustained. And the metric that the member opposite asked about in terms, and this was a metric that was reported first not by the province, but by the Surrey Police Service, that the number of extortion files has dropped considerably since the beginning of the year and has remained below 20 per month. Shootings are trending downwards with 10 in January, followed by 1 in February, 3 in March, and 2 in April. And this is a trend that not only the SPS has pointed to, but the provincial RCMP, the Abbotsford Police Department, Delta Police Department, and really all of the police that are working so hard and working collaboratively to combat extortion in communities. I had a chance to open a webinar, a virtual update and roundtable that the province hosted, I believe it was last week, featuring the Community Advisory Group on Extortion, a group that we stood up to really improve communication between police and community and ensure that the questions and concerns of community was reaching the highest level of law enforcement. And so there was the Deputy Commissioner of E-Division there, McDonald, the chiefs of Surrey, Delta, and Abbotsford Police Departments, who all spoke to the numbers now moving in the right direction in terms of a decrease in extortion-related violence. And that really reflects that, collaborative work done. And I would just like to point out that what the member alluded to in some of his introductory comments to the questions about the what was, I think, referred to as a dismantling of the gang unit in the in Surrey, that operational change, which is made, operational changes are made from time to time in terms of the deployment of officers by police, and the SPS made that change before the District 4 transition commenced, and to also affirm that SPS is not alone in its fight against extortion, in its fight against gang violence more broadly. This is why the province invests over $100 million a year in the work of the coordinated gang enforcement work and investigative work that is carried out by Combined Forces Special Enforcement Unit, and they remain active. The Uniform Gang Enforcement Team remains active in Surrey. And just appreciate the member's concern for members of his community, his advocacy for the community, and affirm that the combating extortion and gang violence is absolutely prioritized for the province, and we will continue to ensure that police have the resources they need to bring this violence to an end and to keep our communities safe.